Good morning, this is Dr. Fletcher with your Monday Motivation. Today I'm going to talk a little bit more about something called the gut-brain axis. Now this sounds a little bit sci-fi to me, but it is really fascinating, the research going on between the interplay between our gut and our brain. It is a bi-directional route in communication, meaning that our brain is talking to our gut and our gut is talking to our brain. We have learned a lot more about the gut and what's called the gut brain or the second brain, because we know that the nervous control of the gastrointestinal system is operated basically separately by something called the enteric nervous system. Now, the gut and the brain communicate by various ways. Some of this is by nerve pathways, others by chemicals called neurotransmitters. There's also interplay between the two with your immune system. And what's really fascinating is the research coming out about the biochemical interplay between what our gut microbiome are telling our nervous system. So this plays a role in a lot of health disorders. We're learning more each day. Some of the most interesting things are coming out about the interplay between gut and mood. What we do know is that our neurotransmitters that regulate our mood, things like serotonin, 90% of it lives in your gut, and up to 50% of your dopamine. So we see high correlations between people who have gastrointestinal symptoms and mood disorders, such as in anxiety and depression. Research studies have looked at these types of individuals and found that about 65% of people experiencing anxiety and depression have altercations and overgrowth of certain types of gut bacteria in their gut. Pretty fascinating. The other thing that's really interesting is the role of stress on our gut in this gut-brain interplay. With stress, we have high amounts of cortisol, and we're seeing lots of that since the pandemic. But we know, again, it's a bi-directional impact. So stress can affect the gut, and then what the gut does when we are under stress can also modulate further problems. So when we have high amounts of stress, we can disrupt the gut barrier. This can potentiate something called intestinal permeability. We can, with stress, have release of something called lipopolysaccharide, further again, creating more problems with gut imbalance and gut dysbiosis. What's interesting as well is that under the state of gut dysbiosis and overgrowth of these certain bugs, we see that the gut bacteria themselves produce their own stress chemicals and then potentiate the problem. This all sounds, again, very sci-fi and very complicated, but the question is always, what do you do about it? Because many people with gut problems have anxiety and depression. And we do know that there is a role for working with stress. There are clinical psychologists that help people deal with gut-brain interplay. And we will be having a guest speaker on our podcast talking a little bit more in depth about this. So you're not crazy when you have that feeling of like stress and you lose your appetite. That's really that communication. Or you see someone you love and you get that butterfly feeling in your stomach. It's all interrelated, and the more we learn, the more we realize we don't know. But we're also learning tricks and tips to help you get better with your health overall. Stay tuned for more from Thrive. Check out our prior podcast on enemies of the gut and the upcoming podcast about your gut and brain. Have a great day.